Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to Why Atheism is on the Rise, Lakhani Hindu Academy. So, I don't know if those statistics are true, but I mean, I do believe, China does definitely have a very strong hold on their people. Russia, though, I thought they were mostly Catholic. I thought, maybe. I don't know. I'm definitely probably wrong on that one. Japan, I could kind of see that. Korea, I definitely can see that. I don't know about the rest though. Those are Western nations. I thought they were pretty religious, considering that there's a lot of crusades and whatnot going on over there. So, I myself am atheist. Not because do I believe in a higher power? Now, depends on what your definition of higher power is. There are people out there. Is there things out there that could potentially be stronger than us? I do believe that, like aliens and stuff. Is there a God? The Western definition of God. Omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent. Yes. All powerful, all knowing, and everywhere. No, I don't believe that. That's the reason why my definition of Brahman is very specific. Is that there's this thing that is, in a sense, the fabric of creation, the thing that is, in a sense, the creator. It's in a sense the without it, nothing exists. There's a difference. That's more of a like an atom or something, not a being that is the creation of the universe. I remember actually maybe wanting to read that. Richard Dawkins' The God Delusion, during my time whenever I was watching a lot of scientists versus religion people. Alright, let's get started. There's no CC, by the way, so that is bright.
In some religions, you had one or two prophets who were the founders, whose spiritual experiences were the foundation stones on which the religions were built. Say Judaism. Abraham, Moses are the key founders of this religion.
I should have made one of those nobody can depict me rules. They always make me Tell me about it. I've been a blonde white dude for like 2,000 years. And that's the thing. And again, where I was born, actually, there was a big statue of Buddha. It was fat. It's a fat Buddha. I remember looking at it, and I remember pointing it out, asking, I believe, my mom. It's like, well, who's that? It's like that's Buddha. And throughout most of my life, I thought Buddha was always fat. until I took world religions class in college. I think it went that far, me believing that Buddha was fat, until I realized Buddha was not fat and wasn't always, I guess, happy, at least that particular Buddha. And again, I was thinking that Buddha and Gautama were the same. I think I've heard some people say there are two different kinds of Buddhas. Two different Buddhas. And Buddha is a title, not really a person, I believe.
Christianity, of course, Christ. Islam, Muhammad. Buddhism, Buddha. So all these religions have some personalities who encountered an experience which can be classed as spiritual. Now what we mean by spiritual, we leave it alone for the time being. We don't try and analyze it. They seem to have an out of this world or extraordinary experience. Now be very careful when we talk like this. I mean, you find people who are reporting they were abducted by aliens and they're extraordinary. You have to be very watchful. So for every one person who's making claims of spiritual experience, there are hundreds who are absolute idiots, who are completely nutters. So you have to shift them. But how do you shift them? The way you shift them is this. See to what extent this experience have made them better human beings, greater human beings, well-adjusted human beings, or deranged human beings. To what extent they have got the ability to transform their own lives and the lives of people who come near them. And you see, I'm now using very subjective language when I say transformation. What do I mean by it? I mean, how do I define wholesome and acceptable and not this alien invasion, all that? How do I distinguish? Well, it's very tricky. It is highly subjective, and society can perhaps choose the wrong guys because they somehow find them more attractive. and reject the right guys. So it is very subjective. In a way, whole of greater society will in a way dictate how we value them or sometimes devalue them. There is no fixed rule. It's an open game. It's best to be very open and clear about this whole business. So the spiritual experiences of certain personalities during their own lifetimes, they did not bring about major change. Sometimes, for example, in the story of Christ, during his own lifetime, he was hardly, even if he was crucified, he was hardly recognized. He was ostracized, he was vilified in his own life. So only a few hundred years after he went away, he was gone, that suddenly Christianity started to gel. And his experiences and his teaching suddenly caught on. So you can see society was lagging behind. They couldn't catch up. And it took time before greater society took on his ideas and were able to digest his ideas and incorporate them within the system. See, there's a disjoint. And in the life of Buddha, his spiritual experiences immediately transformed the whole of India. During his lifetime, he transformed, almost whole of India became Buddhist in his own lifetime, not waiting for him to die and then recognize him. So we got this variety of different, I'm just showing you how the spiritual experience forms the fountainhead of world religions. And sometimes they're immediately taken on, sometimes they take a long time for these ideas to filter through and affect the greater society. It kind of takes time to filter through. But the source of all world religions is experience, experiential dimension. This is the heart of religion. In fact, the reason why this part is sometimes, this dimension of religion is often overlooked and forgotten. And when you do that, you pay a heavy price. If you ignore this experiential dimension to your religion, your society will move away from religion. They'll become secular. They say, look, this is just airy-fairy stuff. Unless it becomes experiential and they are allowed to participate and experience this thing called spirit or God for themselves, they're going to move away at some stage. And what's the best example? Today. The reason why the youth today, modern youth, Hindu as well as non-Hindu youth, are moving away from their religion is because the experiential dimension to religion has been overlooked or has been kind of pushed aside, not given enough prominence, not given central position. The moment you do that, this is the youth, you tell them, oh, there's a God in heaven and you do this and that and you go to meet him. He's not convinced. He'll move away.
So there goes that thing about, again, about how a lot of people believe gods in the past because they could not access these locations. In the mountain, Mount Olympus is one example, and all of a sudden, there's not in the mountain, it's in the sky. Oh, it's, we fly in a plane. It's like, I don't see any god up here, kind of like that picture was depicting. It's like, I don't see any gods over here either. It's like, oh, no, he's in space. Oh, we're in space. Oh, no, he's in another dimension. And that's the problem with, I guess, with believing in something that's just, you have to keep pushing back into an unattainable area. I forgot what the word was back in the day when I watched it. But basically, whenever, throughout humanity, I do believe humanity has always believed in God or gods. You have the fertility god, and anytime there's something that cannot be explained, it was always explained through gods. These beings with mighty powers, the volcano god, the earthquake god, the lightning god, the rain god, the sun god, the moon god. You can see that in religion, in more recent religions, like Egyptian and Greek and Roman. And then if you go further back than that, I didn't really study up on religion too much, but I know there was this fertility god as well. But the problem, I guess, with modern day is the fact that we're all more along the lines of materialism. Not that we're materialistic, but we are, in terms of the material world. I can see this pen, you can see this pen, I can touch this pen, I can feel this pen, I can taste this pen. I'm not going to do that. I can see the pen. We can objectively see that this does exist. It's very difficult to prove this unicorn on my shoulder that I tell everyone about, but somehow they don't believe me. And that's the kind of the problem, I guess, with how do I say, religion, I suppose. To try to prove something exists without a material substance behind it. Again, I can prove that this pen exists because I can throw it at you and it hits you. You can say that, oh, something hit me. It may not be a pen, but you know. And then the unicorn on my shoulder. But again, there's also a difference between if you have a personal experience. That's going to be another thing that's going to be a little bit difficult, because a personal experience is subjective. The way I feel this pen could be different from the way you feel this pen. I could say this pen is nice and smooth, and then you touch it, you're like, holy crap, this is rough. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's smooth. And you're saying it's rough. Because of how maybe how sensitive maybe our fingers are, or maybe on what's on the pen, maybe I'm not touching it in the right spot, or whatever it may be. And also, subjective things tend to be not objective. Sorry, I'm trying to think on the spot here, but yes, objective things are very much on the nose. Subjective things are very much personal, and that's a bit difficult to portray to other people. Some people can feel the same way you do, but it's maybe not the exact same way. And also, by doing something and say, this is how I felt it. I touched this pen and I felt excited. All of a sudden someone else grabs the pen, it's like, no, I'm not feeling anything. And you're like, what's going on? I touch it, excitement. You touch this and you're not feeling excited. There's the subjective matter of it. Whereas this, we can all see as a pen, it's very objective.
So, we must go to temple and do this, and this will happen, good things will happen to you. He's not convinced. He can
What's the meaning of life? Have you tried Googling?
do good things for himself without visiting a temple. Same with the Western youth. You see, the churches are being abandoned dramatically. Do you know how dangerous the situation is? I mean, talking of the Christian tradition, basically. Forget about the church being abandoned. The youth in the Christian schools that I go to, when I ask them how many believers really you think the religions have something for going for it, or how many atheists and agnostics, my experience is showing now, because I've been in the system for about 15 years now. Now it's showing very clearly that majority of them are atheists or agnostics. They're moved away from religion. You know why it's dangerous? Because you hit certain, critical mass. I mean, say 50 or 60% of very loudmouth youngsters in the schools are saying, well, atheism and agnostic, that's the right attitude. You can't believe all this nonsense. When a large, number of youngsters who are vociferous in the school surroundings talking this particular mode, the peer pressure on the rest of them who are believers is severe. They say, we better not believe, we look like idiots here in this group. So the peer pressure is going to, so this is exponential. So it's not just this declining like this. At a certain critical mass, go boom. There'll be nobody left to believe. They'll you know what is happening? At one school, they're cheering. When I mentioned the word Richard Dawkins, they cheered me. See, this is where they sit now. They're moved away from religion. Christian school, mainstream, very popular, very famous. They move away from religion. They're moved away. And the blame I put on the idea, on this particular dimension that is being ignored, overlooked, the experiential dimension. Unless you tell these youngsters, religion is not meant just what your prophets experienced and what they preached. It is something that you can touch base with, you here today, not when you die and all that. If you are able to bring that idea along to them, that you too can participate in the process of experiencing this, then they will say, what? They're interested because they're looking for a kick. So they have tried alcohol, they have tried all these other things, and I won't mention what other things they try, and they didn't get enough kick, and they're looking, they're serious, I like them. They're searching for a better, if you like, understanding about the nature of reality in themselves, and in the process they might experiment with very weird things, very dangerous things even. But religion that should really satisfy and draw them has lost the knack for it.
I wanted to pause a little bit sooner, but I was trying to wait till I find the right time. But anyways, what was I trying to get at? The problem with here, I had a discussion with one of my friends about how it's like if we got rid of religion, there'd be a lot less problems in the world. And then he came up with an answer. It's like, well, they'll just replace religion with another problem. I'm like, yeah, he's probably right. Humans just seem to love problems. Doesn't matter what you remove, other things will replace it. So it's not religion that's the problem. Well, extreme anything is the problem. Extreme religion is the problem. We can see that in modern times. You have people who are extreme, whatever religion you want to add on there, it's bad. And again, this is another reason why I like what Lakhani says about spiritual humanism. I still don't know how he defines that, but I do like that to a degree, which is you don't have to believe in a God to be a good person. I don't believe there is a higher power out there, and I choose, no, that's not I choose, I'm just naturally, I guess, a good person. I mean, I don't want to cause harm. I enjoy seeing people happy, so I like seeing people happy. If people are happy, I'm happy. And you don't need religion for that. But at the same time, I can recognize some people may need some kind of crutch, as I would call it, to be good. It's really, I see that's kind of dangerous, because if that crutch, that belief is not there, some people will say they go crazy. They'll be like, oh, if I didn't believe in God and going to hell and stuff, I'll be an evil person, mass murdering. I'm like, holy crap, please believe in God or whatever. And sometimes it gives people a sense of purpose. So I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, we need to get rid of religion, because religion ultimately, outside of the extremes of anything, it doesn't matter whether it's religion or not, is terrible. But it is not ultimately the issue with people. I do believe in Hinduism, as far as I can define it, which is basically accepting of everything, and atheists and non-atheists alike, theists and non-theists alike, atheists and non-atheists. But and the fact that my belief in Brahman, again, is the fabric of creation, not a deity, and Hinduism accepts that. Again, I'm not opposed to people believing things, so long as they're not forcing it down your throat. They're not saying this is the truth. They're not saying that this is what you have to believe in, otherwise you're going straight to whatever.
And we are hitting a critical mass, and I'm watching it, I mean, with horror, with surprise. And I'm participating in all sorts of seminars on faith schools and all that, and the issues they face. And the issues are very serious. Forget about them saying we'll promote our faith through our faith school. The idea is the youngsters in the faith schools are taking their name as Christian, but they say, this is our tradition. We just ticked our name because fathers used to believe that. So we just agree to this cultural label. That's all.
Yes. Also, I forgot, it's because there was also a time in America where gay people started coming out, and a lot of churches were going against that, and a lot of people started leaving churches because of that. They're saying that's not right. They're people too. Why are you casting them away, or why you're banishing them? So there was a big exit. I don't know how big, genuinely, but it felt like there was quite a big exodus, because a lot of churches were, obviously they say, was it homosexual is a sin or whatever like that you're not supposed to lay with men like you are to lay with women. And now a lot of churches are adjusting that, saying now we accept you. And to be honest, a lot of it seems to be very much in survival instinct, and also I was going to say like Hinduism a bit, but I'm sure they didn't have any idea about Hinduism, but Hinduism has always been accepting of practically everything. And at least in Christianity, I believe over here, are starting to accept people for who they are and not forcing that religion on people. So I think that reversal has kind of helped keep that religion alive. But also, I think there's a growing spiritual movement in America. I'm starting to hear people say, I'm spiritual but not religious. Now, I'm wondering if this is being tied into Hinduism, because I do believe that's where it maybe originated from. It's not a lot, but I'm hearing that now, where people say, oh, I'm spiritual but not religious. And I used to make fun of that. Like, what's the difference? But now, as I understand Hinduism a little bit more, I think I understand a bit more.
No real love for religion, no real understanding, or no real attraction towards religion. And this is reality. So we are hitting this kind of difficult stage, and the reason is because the experiential dimension is being ignored. See, this happens. The vibrancy goes away. The source, if you like, the inspiration, the exciting part, is the experiential dimension, and that is being put on the sideline at the moment. Not only for Christians, but Hindus too. Most of the Hindu youngsters I come across, and this is very sad, for them religion becomes only crucial or important when things are seriously wrong, things go seriously wrong for themselves or their families. And you see, in a way your media gives you a glimpse into their thinking, because this is what they're thinking. The only place where God or the idea of religion appears in your serials, in your soap operas, in your television series, in Indian television series, is when things are really bad. The villain is winning and thumping the hero, is about to die, being run over by a truck all the time. The truck drivers are nasty, kill them, being knocked about, being chased around by some villainous man, and the woman is going to be, attacked, and then she pulls the emergency chain, God, please save me, help me. So they only appear as a emergency chain. This is terrible. That is just, in a way, a ploy to try and reach out to something when they are desperate. Mm-hmm. This is surely not the right way. This is not the exponential side of their religion. So they are seeing God as nothing but the fourth emergency service after fire brigade, police, and all that. This is not the right. Maybe better than AA, but it's still not right. You see, this is how they have demoted God, or demoted religion.
Yeah, there's a lot of people saying that a lot of people are atheists until their deathbed, and then they start calling for God. I don't know, maybe that's true, I'm not sure, but yeah, that's not the right way. Again, a lot of my problem with at least some of the aspect of religion is they say, oh, I believe in God because there's a hell and I don't want to go to hell. It's like, well, I don't know if God wants you to believe in him because you just don't want to be punished for eternity. It's like, that is not a good reason to believe in God. And could you imagine you going up to heaven? It's like, hey, God, I believe in you because I don't want to go to hell. I don't want to suffer all eternity. It's like, oh, okay, you're welcome in. You believe in me just because you don't want to suffer for all eternity. That's like, that's I wouldn't say that's a genuine way to believe in God, but that's what a lot of how do I say? I guess preachers or priests in the past tend to get people to believe in faith is by fear.
Only in emergency you pull the chain, and that's not right. The way you bring your youth, your mainstream back to religion is to invoke the experiential aspect of religion. Look, your prophets had the experience, they got thrilled, they got charged up, they want to do something for society. But this experience is not confined to your prophets. It should be available to anybody who is serious about it. Are you open to that? And most religions move away. They don't discuss that part. They don't discuss the externals. They're not the heart of the matter, experiential. So this is the first aspect to religion, experiential dimension.
That is actually interesting, very interesting. I'll say that's another, I guess, I wonder if that's another difference. Like, I think maybe in the past, Christianity says that, or Western religion says that you cannot experience God except through us. It's a way to control the population. Nowadays, it's loosened up a bit, I guess, where generally speaking you have to eat. There are some that are extreme churches where they say you can only experience God through us. They still use hell as a fear-mongering tactic. And maybe even some people it says, oh, you can only experience God through me because I am the conduit of God. But I think a lot of churches have lessened up on that and have gotten to be more open to saying that, you don't need me to experience God. God is everywhere, and you just have to pray and believe and open up your eyes to it. Again, I don't know if Hinduism has always been this way. If it has, oh my gosh, amazing. And I know Western religion or Abrahamic religion has been very much controlling and saying that you can't do this without us. It's a way to control their population, to keep people in line. So you can I think even in the past, I believe kings were not above that of the pope or priest in some manner, because everyone feared God, and the pope or the priest or whatever was the word of God. So if you cross them, I mean, if the king crosses the pope and the pope is the word of God or the hand of God, you know, it's like, well, you know, I don't want to be on the God's bad side, so I'm going to go against the king because the pope is the hand of God. As a matter of fact, there's a few kings, I believe, throughout history that really had a problem with that. But yeah, and again, I don't know much of the history of Hinduism, but it seems very open as far as I could tell, and the sheer fact that they say that, you know, you can believe in anything, all the path is correct. It's just that it's all leading to the same place, Brahman, the one true path, or in any god, in the 330 plus million gods out there, each of them is true, a true path, a real path. It's just that it's, you know, a few steps behind, but it's still the path there, you know. It's kind of like going up a mountain, you know, you have to climb up a whole bunch of steps to get up there, and believing in whatever deity that fits you very well is part of that path. Eventually you come to realization that, at least at the Advaita Vedanta, that you are that I, that God. Okay, that's weird. Anyways, that is my reaction to why atheism is on the rise. Jay Lakhani, Hindu Academy. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.